Alasdair Pinkerton, thanks very much for your time. What is it about these windlashed specks of land in the South Atlantic that can fire the passions of two countries, both then and still?
You know, you've asked really an excellent question, and it's one that's really not easy to answer, because if you reduce them to specks on a map, then they don't look terribly important at all. In fact, people have often described the Falkland Islands as being marginal to the main business of international relations. But what I think we often forget, particularly in the European experience, is the profound passion and emotion, particularly felt in Argentina, about the sovereignty of the islands. Argentine children are brought up with the knowledge and being taught that these islands have been robbed away from Mother Argentina, that they are there to be fought back, and there is an enormous emotion that circulates around the islands. Of course, within the islands themselves, people live with a constant threat of an aggressive neighbour in the shape of Argentina. So again, passion, emotion circulates around this debate, and really we can't get away from those two key factors, passion and emotion.
Well, with those school lessons in Argentina in our mind that you've placed there, and to put to you the question that the Argentine President Fernández de Kirchner posed, how can it be claimed that 14,000 kilometres away this can be part of British territory?
Yeah, I listened to the President's words yesterday evening when I heard her debate at the United Nations translated. As a geographer, of course, I'm very interested in the idea that she is playing up a geographical kind of rationality to Argentina's claim, and therefore the irrationality of Britain's claim to the islands. What I immediately think of as a geographer is that geography is certainly not rational. People have tried to be rational about geography in the past, and look where it got us. It got us straight lines across the map of Africa. It got us divided communities, resources that were carved up. Geography isn't a rational thing. People have tried to turn it into a science in the past, and it's had disastrous consequences. The truth is, the Falkland Islands are 400 miles or thereabouts off the coast of Argentina. If we applied a principle to what the President of Argentina was saying, we would have to consider islands like the Canary Islands, which belong to Spain, but which are, of course, only 100 miles off the coast of Tunisia. What about Taiwan? What about Christmas Island in the Australian context? And, of course, what about places like Gibraltar, Cyprus? What she's proposing is a principle which, frankly, I just don't think can be applied on a global stage.
Well, the British PM David Cameron has accused Argentina of aggression in this issue. Let's have a small listen to what he had to say.
When it comes to the sovereignty of the Falkland Islands, there will be absolutely no negotiation.
No negotiation. As this war of words continues, and has continued for so long, what do the majority of the people of the Falklands think and want?
Well, I suppose that's what the proposed referendum in 2013 is going to try and find out. But of course, I think we have a pretty clear idea of what they think already. Having spent quite a lot of time in the Falkland Islands and having talked to Falkland Islanders on a regular basis, I fully anticipate a 99.9% approval of continuing with the status quo. In other words, the Falkland Islands' continuation with its relationship with Britain, and that's born as much out of a continuing desire to remain an adjunct of the United Kingdom, as much as it is a reaction against a fear of this very aggressive neighbour who is increasingly asserting a rather assertive form of territorial claim over the islands through what I heard one Falkland Islander described yesterday as a kind of economic terrorism, blockades. That might be going too far, but there's certainly a fear in the Falklands that their nearest neighbour, Argentina, they might be speaking with fairly open and conciliatory words at the United Nations, but ultimately what they want are the islands back and in their possession, with little guarantees for the continuation of Falkland Islands life.
Well, if Argentina is being so aggressive, what is this resurfacing of tensions between the two countries? What's the likelihood of conflict between Britain and Argentina once more over the Falklands?
I think the only conflict we're going to see is a conflict of words, and that's largely because both countries have neither the appetite nor, frankly, the capability to launch a war on the same scale as 1982. The President of Argentina has already said that they have no interest in pursuing this matter using military means. What instead she is promoting is Argentines using their creativity to act on a global stage to persuade global audiences that Argentina has a rightful claim over the Falkland Islands. So if we're going to see a war at all, it's going to be a war of representations, of advertisements, of more commercials, like the Olympics-inspired video that was produced recently. So it's going to be that kind of conflict.
And through all of this, in the middle, sit the islanders, and if their quality of life is being compromised and they're concerned about where this may all lead, if Argentina's being so aggressive, what for them?
Well, Falkland Islanders are an incredibly resolute kind of people, and that's largely because they're fairly used to living in a territory where supplies are often fairly short in terms of imported foods. They are a community with high levels of resilience, but nonetheless, even Falkland Islanders would admit that they can be pushed too far. And I think it's very much a reaction to that that inspired the Falkland Islanders to go to the United Nations Decolonisation Committee yesterday and to speak on behalf of the islands and islanders to say, we are here, we have a voice and we want to be heard.
Dr. Alasdair Pinkerton there in Scotland. Thank you very much, and may I say I loved your description of geography before. I've never heard a more beautiful definition of geography.
Oh, well, thank you very much. You're very welcome to be a student at Royal Holloway anytime.
Well, thank you, sir.